Welcome back to the channel. In this video I want to talk to you about a game called Mortal Online 2. And the reason I'm bringing you this video is I was looking through the new games on Steam and it popped up that this was popular, however it has mixed reviews. When I say mixed, it has a 57% positive after 2,390 reviews, and I've been looking into it a lot deeper, and this game is a complete and utter rip-off. And just quickly before we go any further into the video, if you are not currently subbed to the channel, make sure you sub, turn notifications on. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like, all support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to support me further as a creator, check out the links in the description, and let's get into it. One of the worst things I've found so far is if you go to YouTube and search for this game, there are people saying this is the game you should try in 2022. People are saying it's flawed but it's still immersive, all this sort of stuff. And I have heard that it's a really good game, but that doesn't stop it being a rip-off. When I say a rip-off, I mean in terms of the value you get with your money, in terms of the quality you receive from the game. So this game was released fully and out of early access on January the 25th, and it's now plagued by a plethora of different issues. I did a little bit more research on the server status and stuff, because this is an MMORPG, and there were talks of stress tests for the servers back in March of 2021, so almost a year ago, and they still have really bad issues. Not only problems with the servers, but also queue times to get into the game that can last literal hours. This game is a sequel. The original game had a huge amount of bugs which were never fixed moving on to the second game. And that really reminds me of the Division series, and I know exactly how bad that can be and can feel to a gamer, especially when you enjoy playing the game. With all these problems, the game is being sold for £31 or $40, and your typical MMO, there's also a subscription that starts immediately after your first month playing the game. And this subscription is about £10 a month. But don't worry, the developers have been nice enough to postpone the subscription service until they've sorted out the login issues. So that's really, really nice of them. But having a subscription and charging that much money for your base game as well when there are as many issues as there are, you're taking the piss. A really good example, and when I say a really good example of what this game is actually like, let's just say there has been 2,600 people that found this review from someone on Steam helpful to them. This person has 86 hours on record, and they posted a review on the 20th of January saying, "Let me just say, I 100% recommend this game if you live in the EU. Or if you have the ability to check your latency pre-purchase and it's like 80 ms or less. This is the game I've been waiting for forever. Very immersive, action-based directional melee combat, PvP, PvE, crafting mechanics that are all intertwined and working cohesively to create a currently unmatched experience in the MMO scape." So yeah, it's unique. Yeah, it's immersive, but it's incredibly flawed. There are lots and lots of issues, so right now it's not worth playing. In this review they carry on to say, if you live anywhere outside of the EU, specifically North America, and even speak remotely negatively about your connection to the game being an issue, you will be met with the toxic echo chamber that is the player base. So the players are being called out for this as well. The lead developer speaks about this magic ping normalization that keeps everyone on even ground. This isn't at all true, and even the NA players that find success are doing so at an extreme disadvantage. So basically, if you live anywhere outside of Europe, don't bother with this game. And for those of you inside Europe, I would still say don't bother, but obviously anywhere around the world is entirely up to you. If they were being upfront with the fact that the game will only cater to one specific region, and they had no intention of customer support for people outside of EU, it wouldn't be so bad. But the fact that the devs and the EU fanbase cling to this magic ping normalization idea when there's players experiencing massive desync and latency so bad they can't play the game properly left a pretty bad taste in my mouth. If you just mention that you're from North America and have a ping problem, you will be met with comments like "get good," "not every game is made for Americans," and other things like "you probably don't have the hardware and internet good enough to play the game." Then there was a link provided, although we're not going to watch the video. It says the link is to an extensive testing video on the latency issues. For reference, I can pretty regularly recreate a scenario where my opponent is stabbing forward with a dagger. I get hit with the attack while standing behind him. They are charging a $15 subscription for a game that they suggest you pay another $7 for exit lag so you can have the chance at playing properly. The dev team is completely unwilling to hear any reasoning to create region-specific servers, citing that it would ruin the vision of the game. And the rabid fanboys echo this sentiment over and over. It would ruin the game if they created multiple servers. I can't imagine anyone buying into that reasoning, but I feel like the game is so dang good, they are missing a real opportunity by only being willing to cater to one specific region. Finally, an MMO with great graphics and design that harkens back to the virtual worlds of old, and it's region locked if you want to have a decent experience. If they ever relinquish their ridiculous stance on regional servers, I will come back and change my opinion gladly. Again, amazing game, even more so that a small indie company created it. I wish the absolute best, but I cannot recommend it to anyone outside of the EU because you'll have terrible latency and zero support from the devs or the community, even though they will feed you lines of BS about how playable it is just to get your box price. Other people in the reviews are mentioning servers, others are saying it's a horrible waste of time. Someone said they've got 63 hours on record, 60 hours are trying to actually get in to the game, so it's queue times. Someone else said can't even log in, hours in the queue and now it's too late to refund. So a lot of people are being trapped into this. But if we quickly switch over from the gameplay that's been in the background, and we're going to take a look on Steam at the hotfixes they have been pushing out for the game. So we are over on Steam now, and if we scroll down, I'll quickly show you, this is the review that I was reading out. So 86.5 hours on record, there's a link to the thing, and it states that the community are as bad as the devs, and that is never ever good. But if we go back up and we go to the hotfixes, we'll start off, because I've already had a brief flick through these. Where is it? No, this is a while back. Look how many fixes there are here. That's how many issues you have in a game that you have to pay a subscription for, or you will have to. But then there's changes, they're adding new stuff. So here we go, this is launch day, the 25th of Jan. Greetings Mortals, the Mortal Online 2 launch is here. To celebrate, we've got a 10% launch discount for the next week. With the launch of the game, the thread history has begun to unwind, and all progress made from this day onward will be persistent, saved, and never erased. It's been an amazing experience so far, and the amount of interest and positivity around our game has been extremely humbling. So they've got a load of fanboys. But scrolling up on the 27th, so this is 2 days later, added more wildlife to the world. So the game's just gone into full release where titles shouldn't really have updates. Hotfixes and stuff, yes. But you should have your game in a full price retail sort of position. It should be in a state that's good enough to release as a full release. Because it was in early access. They've done stress testing almost a year ago. But they added more wildlife. They've added a new version of zombies that roam near cities that do not have a graveyard. You can now only bring a total of 3 gold from Haven. They've lowered the selling price on Haven Bandit heads to $25, it was $80. So a full release title that's needed to have that much of a nerf to balance the game out. $55 has come off the price of selling Haven Bandit heads from $80 to $25. You now need to have your gift at level 2 before you can leave Haven. They've decreased the spawn timer on horses so they spawn faster. They have increased the use distance on bankers to make them easier to access. There's a bank now easier to access. Strongholds can no longer be placed within 100 meters of another stronghold or keep. And then they have yet another bunch of bug fixes. So an issue with the client crashing after roughly 20 minutes in the login queue. So you sit there trying to log into the game, you're in the queue for 20 minutes and boom, your entire fucking game crashes. There was another issue they fixed with player bodies getting stuck with proportions of that of another clade, I'm guessing that's like a class type, in the character creation and the paper doll window. For example, a Thursa could get the body shape of an Ogmir, if that's how you pronounce them. But don't worry, this never affected your appearance to others in the game. Fix an issue with player faces breaking after character creation, that's always a nice one to see. Another crash, a crash, a crash, a crash, a rare crash, times 3. They fixed one of the beards being broken on a lower LOD. They fixed some foot placement when moving. They fixed a lot of landscape and terrain issues in a fully released title that is also a sequel. They've then also made several optimizations to the server to help with overcrowded cities. And then we go from January the 27th, this was at 12:49 PM GMT, we go to January the 28th. So 1 day later, and they're posting another update for the game. Another patch, another hotfix. So this one, they've added a EULA to the login screen that you need to accept in order to play. So an end user license agreement, they've added one and you are forced to accept it in order to play the game. After leaving the queue, you will now be able to skip the entire queue the next time you log in if you do it within 5 minutes after leaving. So if any issues occur while you are loading into the game, you can now skip the queue when you relog. Because that is fantastic. You're sitting there, you're trying to log in, you're in the queue, you start loading into the game and your game crashes because of the amount of crashes in this game, and you're now able to skip the entire queue. They've decreased the XP you get from Walking Deads, so another nerf. And then they're nerfing the game quite a bit within the first 3 days. And this is a full release. I'm going to keep fucking repeating that because it annoys me so much how there are nerfs straight after game launches. $80 down to $25 on Haven Bandit heads, and they've now decreased the XP you get from Walking Dead. I totally get balancing, don't get me wrong with that, but there's balancing, and then there's nerfing because you failed to balance before your game's released. This is a full release. This will cost you £31. But not only £31, if you continue to play after they've sorted their mess out, you're going to have to pay £10 a month. So after a year of this game, that's £150 just to play the game. They were nice, they increased the XP you get from bandits and another enemy type. They removed ironwood trees from Haven, and the fire particles have been tweaked to look better on lower settings. So lower settings must have had, I'm going to guess, something along the lines of Minecraft lava or something like that. So they've tweaked the particles of the fire to look better on lower settings instead of actually fixing the game for the people that are trying to play. So we're back with more fixes. They fixed another set of crashes related to the login queue and after entering the game. There's also a startup crash related to the characters in the login screen, sometimes initializing before other systems. They fixed an issue that made clients disconnect from the login while in the middle of the queue. I mean, you get the point. It's a fucking disaster. And the fact that they're not doing things to properly fix it, they won't open up other servers. I'm pretty sure I saw in one of the reviews on Steam that the CEO of the company said that their mega server with that, the ping normalization or whatever it was, the CEO said this server can handle up to like 100,000 players when, these issues are really, really bad from what I've heard when you have 8,500 people in game. So it's all a lie. There's a subscription, there's a full like £30 purchase for the game itself in the first place. So the base game, you got the subscription separately, and it doesn't work. And people are spending that long trying to get into the game, hoping to be able to play it because it's a good game. And yeah, it gets so long, they still don't get into the game and they pass the refund time window. So look, they fixed another issue that would disconnect clients as soon as they entered Nave after being in the queue. This is a partial fix, as this will still happen in some cases. If it does, simply pressing login again should move you to the front of the queue, and you'll just log in again instantly without having to wait. They've optimised the nodes to handle more people even in crowded areas. More optimisations are still coming, so they've still got a lot more work to do on this full release. They fixed several leaks caused by insane pressure on the login servers. They fixed floating plants. They fixed broken collision in some ruins. And they fixed a tiny issue in the female body mesh UVs related to tattoos. But yeah, I thought we'd take a little look at this game. Avoid it. That's my recommendation. Just straight up avoid it. It's an absolute fucking rip-off. You can't log in. You're sitting there in queues for hours, you're crashing all the time. If you do manage to get into the game, if you're anywhere outside of Europe, you are going to have a bad time with ping. And if you try and bring it up in a forum, the developers will tell you that you're ruining the vision of their game, or adding extra servers will ruin the vision of their game. And you'll have all the little fanboys jumping behind the developers, like right up inside their assholes, just copying, like being a parrot basically. Being little sheep following along and then being little parrots copying what they say. As I said, my opinion, don't buy into this game. Yeah, it might be a fantastic game if you get into it, whether you're playing solo or with a group of friends, but is it worth all the hassle? They're nerfing stuff straight after the game goes into full release. They did a stress test and still can't sort their servers. It's a fucking shambles. There's no other way to put it. But what we're going to do is leave the video there. Let me know your thoughts and stuff about this in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it.